Hey, how's it going guys? My name is Stevenson and welcome back to a new video type, actual new video thing that maybe I won't be doing for the future, maybe thing I will be doing for the future, something I hope to actually do for the future. So by these videos, what I'm actually going to be talking about is just experiences in life, and this is going to kind of be, you know, the Anna Arcana type video of getting my experience and kind of just transferring it to, you know, other people, because like, I've always thought, you know, I've always gone on YouTube and sometimes I'll go through my down moments and I just want to go through this whole stage of go on YouTube and see how people's life experiences compared to how they are now, and, you know, just seeing people living is kind of a motivational thing for me, so I kind of just want to relay that onto, you know, people out there like you right now watching this video, looking into my eyes. Unless I'm looking at the script, then I'm not looking at your eyes. Sorry. And yeah, I actually wrote a script for this damn thing. I don't like scripts, but I mean, it's not really a script. I'll put up a little flash on the screen somewhere over here. It's kind of just like a kind of a, I guess, ideas list, you know. The actual document is called ideas, but I kind of just want to read off dot points, because I'm not really good to follow a script, and I just want to make sure my head is in the right space when I'm talking, if you know what I mean. And if you do see me looking over here, monitor, middle monitor, 4 tabs open everywhere, so shit's going down. Now the word that we're going to be talking about today, which is over here, is something that everybody claims to have at one point in their life. And you know, it's fine if you actually do. Some people take it as a joke, which is understandable, because in this modern day of, you know, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know, social media in general, and all, you know, my age group of the young 20-somethings, we all like to joke about, we are depressed. Before I get into my personal experience, let's have a little read. So right now I'm on beyondblue.org to make sure that it's a actual proper, you know, a proper diagnosis. I can tell what the feelings are because it's got .org, and .org means it's certified. So let's go through it. So it's got a few lists. I won't go through it all, but one of the first ones is behavior. And the first thing it lists is not going out anymore, not getting things done at work or school, withdrawing from close family and friends, relying on alcohol and sedatives, not doing usable, enjoyable activities, and unable to concentrate. So that's just the first few behavior ones. If we go into the feelings one, it says like overwhelmed, guilty, irritable, frustrated, you know, unhappy, indecisive, disappointed. God, I could just keep on reading, you know, sad. That's the most obvious one, I guess. And then it goes into a list of thoughts like, I'm a failure, it's my fault, life's not worth living. Or this is a big one I've been guilty of, nothing's good ever happens to me. And lastly, I'll just go quickly through this because I know this is the boring stuff of it all. It does say some physical traits such as like tired all the time, or you run down, you know, you get some headaches and muscle pains apparently, I guess. But I mean, you know, I'll get into that soon enough. Sleep problems, churning gut, what the fuck does that mean? Churning gut? What? Or loss of change of appetite, that's been one I've had, or significant weight loss or gain. I guess that's just linked to the appetite. So, let me give you a bit of a backstory with my experience with this word over here that I hate to use, and I've really avoided it up until the last year or so, because I was very negative against it. So if I go over to my script, I can actually read instead of reading off a website, which, you know, I like personal experiences better. If we go through here, you know, I've got a list of dot points and they're relatively similar, but let's go through a quick first one. So my first experience with depression, I guess, was when I was in high school. You know, I had a few friends, and namely one friend that obviously I won't name, who said they were depressed, you know, and I'll say she was depressed, and I kind of just, I had this whole denial thing, you know, going through high school. I was kind of depression doesn't exist, you know, it's all in your head, you know, you're just sad, and you're just using the word depression loosely, which, you know, back then it was kind of like, what, I was like 15 or 16, like, oh my god, you're depressed, me too, nah, just kidding. But, you know, stop using the word loosely, you know, I'd get angry in my own mind, not actually get angry at her. But, you know, there was this big thing of the difference between being sad and being depressed. So if you're sad, you know, it's a temporary thing, and that temporary thing can be, you know, it's a literal emotion where, you know, if someone passes away, you're sad. You know, you can become depressed because you're sad, but if you're depressed, it's like, you know, just all those symptoms that I just read of just constant annoyance, you know, of like, oh, fuck life, fuck this. But sad is more just like, oh, you know, crying and stuff, whereas depression is just something that's really hidden under the true face of people, you know, when you're either sad or you're depressed. Who knows? That was kind of corny, wasn't it? Oh, I should cut that out. So if I go through some of my personal experiences reading off this, because I've wrote this, you know, I did have a little bit where, you know, I had the denial through high school, and I thought it was such a fake thing, and I thought everybody was just overreacting to everything. But then I realized once I finished school, holy shit, am I depressed? And I was just knocking off people saying, you're not depressed. And that was a symptom of my depression, negating it and pushing it onto other people. So I mean, like, you know, when I was in high school, I was very much that person that didn't have a lot of friends. And I had friends, but I mean, I basically balanced between 3 different groups. And in those 3 different groups, I kind of just sat there, and you know, I wouldn't talk much because I don't know, I'm not that much of a talker, and I don't know, is that a sign of depression? I don't know. I just like to sit there and listen, and I don't know, I can't really join in conversations sometimes. I just feel that way, but you know, that's being a bit narcissistic. Let's not get too far into that, even though the video is basically about this topic. So to put it in perspective, with depression, I'm a writer myself. I like writing short stories. I like writing an actual book that I'm halfway through, planning to finish by next year. I like doing these videos, which are something that's funny. If you actually notice on the channel, you know, I'm not sure if the videos are still up by now, but I went through, like, I'd do 4 videos and then there'd be an 8-month gap. And I'd just do another videos after that, even though I kept telling myself, you know, stick to this plan, you're going to do all these videos, you're going to be a cool, big YouTuber, make loads of cash. But instead, depression got in the way, and, you know, turns out I was depressed after school, and I've been dealing with that for the last few years. So that was a main creativity loss. And something that I did struggle with depression is comparing myself to others, you know. I would always look at other people and say my friend just got a new car. I'd always be like, oh, how'd you get a new car, you know? And I'd be really jealous, and I wouldn't be thankful of my little Ford Falcon of piece of shit, you know? I'd be very judgmental in my own mind, like, oh, that's not fair, you know? But I mean, that could be linked to many other things. It doesn't mean it's depression, but that is something that I've been kind of confused about, you know? Like, always just been jealous, and like, you know, it's kind of the story of like a kid has some candy and I'll be like, well, I want some candy, where's my bloody candy? But, you know, it's more than jealousy. But another point of it, which is right here, good editing me, thank you, please don't yell at me, past me, future me, I don't know, is overthinking everything. So when you're overthinking everything, when you're depressed, there is a lot of situations where you'll have conversations throughout the day, whether that be workmates, schoolmates, or whatever, and you'll sit there and you'll start replaying conversations in your head. And I know it's normal to do that, but to the point where you sit there and focus on the one word or focus on the one sentence, and you just sit there and you're staying up all night worrying about this. I've had this countless times, just loss of sleep, because I'm just so worried about this one thing I said, or this one thing someone said, when in reality, you know, I'm getting better. And, you know, if you didn't have depression, you'd just be like, okay, well, maybe I'll just apologize next time I see them, or maybe I'll just, you know, forget it, it's nothing important. Another thing that I had with depression is right here again, good editing, is treating everything, I mean, bloody everything, you know, getting out of bed, doing the bloody dishes or something menial, like, you know, putting the garbage out each week, or even just bringing some clothes in. I would feel very, very angry about it. And it's funny, why are you angry about washing dishes? Like, obviously everyone doesn't want to do it, but with depression you just get this sense of like, oh, you know, I really don't want to do it, it's not my fucking job, why are you asking me? and you'll chuck this whole fit going through your head, and depression is all just focused in this damn head. It just all bubbles up, and then it just mixes into this pot of why your life sucks, because you're just refusing to just bloody do the dishes when you could just do them, and in 5 minutes you're done. Just go back to playing Zelda Breath of the Wild again. So with that said, you know, there's another part, which, you know, this will be like the final part in the series of like actual things that happen during it, but I have this feeling of, well, I've had this feeling, you know, I shouldn't say I have this feeling during this whole video, even though I probably have numerous times, but I had this feeling back when I was in, you know, prime depression, little high school me, and it was all about, I thought I experienced everything already, you know, that like, you know, I only left the country like a few times just to go to a few countries, and I'd always be like, oh, I don't want to go to France because I've already seen everything in the social media, you know, that gives us a problem of, you know, oh my god, I've already seen the Eiffel Tower, I don't need to travel there. But just the fact of like, you know, I don't really want to go anywhere, I've already seen everything, nothing will excite me anymore, and I think that's a symptom of depression, you know. So if you sometimes find yourself go, oh, you know, I've already seen that and I don't really care, and if it's something really exciting like going to Rome or, I don't know, going to Ireland or something like that, it's just, that's something you gotta understand, that maybe it's a bit of depression, maybe it's just you're depressed at the moment, and, you know, you've got to understand the difference between being depressed and depression, you know. So, you know, being depressed, it's just a thing that just happens occasionally because of big things, and then when you're actually depressed, it's just something that's constant. And, you know, I had it for 2 or 3 years, and I just knew every day it was the exact same thing of fighting to get out of bed and just wondering what I'm gonna do, because honestly, you know, I'd wake up, and some days I'd wake up at 3 p.m. and I'd just be like, what's the fucking point? I'm waking up at 3 p.m. and I just want to lay in bed. And one of my many talents is never not wanting to sleep. I can literally sleep a whole day if you ask me, you know? And that's something that really got depression going, I guess. You know, not going outside, it hits 3 p.m. and then before you know it, the sun's down and you're just sitting there like, well, guess I'll just sit here and stare at a wall, or maybe I'll just sit here and play my video games. But, you know, that leads into another thing where the things you find fun are just not fun anymore. Like, I love my video games, I've grown up, and you can see the cringy videos on YouTube of me as a 10-year-old, you know, playing all these video games, and I lost it, you know. Zelda was a big part of my childhood, as you can see. Phantom Hourglass somewhere up here, Full Metal Alchemist over there, you know. But like, it's just you find something so boring and it has no point from what you used to enjoy about it. Like there's my phone. I recently got up maybe like a year ago, and I got out of this little rut I was in, and I decided to pick up a few games, and you know, it was a slow, very steady pace of, hey, I want to play this game, and then I play for 20 minutes and be like, oh, fuck, I'm bored. But then eventually, you know, I picked up a game like Metal Gear Solid 5, and I just played the hell out of it, because eventually I got out of this situation of finding it boring, because it started to become fresh. So let's go on to the point of counseling and psychology, because I know, you know, you can go to a doctor, they'll get you to fill out a few forms, they'll get you to take a test. You're like, answer 1 to 3, how was your day? Shitty, fucking amazing, or just, what day? And you know, doctors will always take it and they'll just give you like a stamp of you're depressed, you're anxious. And I was very confused, and you know, I'm a very optimistic person, and when I actually went to the doctor, I said, hey, you know, I may not, you know, I don't know if I'm depressed or not, because I was very unaccepting of it. I didn't want to tell myself. I was very against saying it, but that's just because of what I told you about the whole high school thing, you know? And I finally got myself into a counselor, and I was there for, you know, 15 sessions, which is like a year or something. And it was just something really great. Like, you know, just sitting there, and even though you think you have nothing on your mind, as soon as you get into that room, take the seat, you know, you're really nervous at first, like, oh my god, I'm about to tell a random all about my life secrets, how I masturbate to furry porn and everything. But then you just realize, hey, they're just here to help, so, you know, they've got oaths that they can't really say anything, so you just need to know the knowledge. Shut up, phone, I'm talking. But instead, you know, you just talk to them, and before you know it, it's good just to talk about your life, and it doesn't matter if it's something bad, you know, they'll listen, give you personal advice, and highly recommend them if you haven't done them. So put psychology and counseling on the list of things to do, right there. Yeah. So going off of that, let's talk about antidepressants. And I actually did go on an antidepressant thanks to my counselor saying, you know, hey, have you ever tried them? And I started off with this thing called sertraline, which I don't know, you know, they're all different. Maybe it's available where you are, maybe it's not. And I started off on this 25 milligrams, and after a week they're like, hey, you know, how's it feeling? I didn't really feel any different besides all the side effects of not hungry, just sitting there numb. And then eventually went to 50 milligrams, and then like a week later I went to 100 milligrams. Yeah, it wasn't a week. I went to 100 milligrams after like maybe a month or two, where I started noticing the feeling of, with 50 milligrams of it, I kind of just sat there and I was becoming more content. It wasn't directly happiness. Like, you always wonder, how do they work? And, you know, that's all brain stuff, and you think they're going to make you happy, but no, they just really make you satisfied and content with things instead of just being down all the time. And that's a good thing, you know, kind of puts you in the pit and makes you pick yourself back up again. So I went on 100 milligrams, and once I did, you know, I didn't think there was a difference, but now that I'm off them, I can tell. And 100 milligrams, I sit there and I would literally stay in bed, and, you know, I wasn't depressed, but I was just numb to thinking, you know. Like, I didn't take any consideration for anyone's feelings. I remember that clearly. Like, you know, if someone talks shit to me or something like that, I'd always just be like, okay. But on 50, I would have been like, oh shit, you know, like, okay, I guess. But off them, I'd just be like, oh fuck, why are you talking about my furry paw like that? You know. So when I was on 100 milligrams, one of the stories is, you know, I really wanted to move across state, and I remember talking to one of my parents at the time, and they did say, you know, they only just found out that I was planning to move across state, and it was such a different thing because I was always keeping it in my mind going, oh, I don't know, you know, should I do this, should I not, and trying to think of it while still depressed. And then when I got these 100 milligrams tablets of happy pills, I just said to them, you know, straight to their face, like, yeah, I'm going in a week. And that was the thing. I was going in a week? Why was I going that quickly, you know? I should have prepared more. I had no money to my name, well, a little bit, but I had nothing to plan for. You know, you've got to plan these things, especially if you're moving. You just can't drop everything and go. And the problem was, I was all drug fucked, and I was confused on where I'm going to stay, what I'm going to do, and my parents kept asking me, hey, where are you going to stay then? And I'm just like, I don't know, I'll find my way. I'm good, Gucci, fam. And they'd be like, okay. And, you know, that was something big until I actually got off them. And once I got off them, you know, I lowered my milligrams? Dosage? I lowered my dosage again, and I was like, hey, sorry, you know, I didn't mean that. I was just too out of it, and working was just such a mind-numbing thing, more so than it already is, you know. Let's go on to something a bit more controversial, and that is this thing over here. I keep pointing over here because I directly made this space to put cool clip art and cool word art from when I was a young 7-year-old boy. But it is marijuana. Now, I'm not saying smoke it, I'm saying it's highly illegal in some places. You know, you look down as a criminal just for smoking a joint or whatever. And of course, you know, everyone has their own opinions of that, so I won't get all political. So, I do remember I did smoke a bit of pot. Let's just call it pot, I don't know, that's easy. And when I was smoking pot, you know, I'll make a completely different video on how smoking weed is, how it experience? What is my words? My experience with it, and, you know, how it affects me and everything like that. But especially with depression, oh my god, my Bixby is talking. What the fuck, Bixby? So getting back to that, aside from my damn phone trying to talk to me, it was kind of a, you know, I would smoke it and I would get all the effects of, you know, you chill, you're quiet, you know, you're doing your own thing, you're stuck in your mind. Think of all these possibility of writing stories and making music, or is that just me? But it really, the way I put it is it slowed down time and gave me more time to think, even though in reality it didn't actually slow down time, you know. but it made me think a lot more about things. And I realized, I smoked it straight for like a month or two, and kind of just went off it a bit, see what was happening and stuff. And I realized that combined with like one of my best friends, and we were just sitting there, and it actually not cured it, but helped it a lot. Because when I was high, everything was slow. I had so much time to think, and when I was not high, I was just in this like, happy, chill mood. Because, when you're, I don't know, what's the word? I'm going to put it as cooling, which is the new lingo for the morning after where you're high. So when you're cooling, that is basically, the morning after, and you feel real chill, and you kind of just think about a lot of stuff because you're in your right mind finally, and you're not high. So I kind of, I'd take walks the morning after, and I'd just sit here and things would just go into place, and everything would feel so good. I'd start to think about things more clearly, wouldn't worry about going to work or anything, because I'd be like, that's cool. And eventually, that was kind of my actual mindset, where I just told myself, yo, dude, you're going good, just you do you, just stray along. And I'm not saying, my depression is cured. I think it is, but I'm not saying it is. A lot of convoluting conversations, I don't know. But it really was something that just kind of got me through it and made me a better person. And I'm not saying don't do it, not saying do it, don't do it. Make sure it's legal, make sure everything's fine. Don't do it if you've got problems, stuff like that. I don't know, everything I'm saying is becoming offensive. But it helped. I just need to say, it helped. It made things clear, and I felt good about myself. And before I knew it, I was sitting there and I was just chilling, hoping everything was going to be okay, and I thought it was going to be okay. And then I logically thought about some problems, thanks to the assistance of the Mary Jane, and I was good, I just chilled. Alrighty, well, this video has actually gone on long enough, and I feel like I've rambled, gone over the same points. It is the first video, after all, talking to a webcam instead of playing a video game. Actually, probably have done one in the past, I don't know. But yeah, this video is just, just to help people with some of the ideas and some of the confusion around depression, because it's always just a word that's thrown around and some people don't even know the meaning. And it's just something that I think we should all be aware of, especially with parents and older people in your family, not just kids, it's just something big. And if you think you have it, you should go see someone, and don't be afraid to talk to someone. I know this is a massive thing to do, just don't be afraid to talk to someone. Alrighty, well, I want to thank you guys for watching. Just don't be afraid to talk to someone. If you feel like you're depressed, or you might want to know more about depression, look it up. It's interesting to read. And if you like this video, I hope you are going to check out some others that I did, which will be not here because I haven't actually done any, and this is the first one. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later about some other what the fuck? I'm not good at talking today. Some other topic of conversation that's somewhat relevant, maybe some life advice. Let's do some Anna Arcana. I don't know, something that's on my mind. Rambling. Bye.